let's see, Whiskey Peak. I didn't even remember what Whiskey Peak was until you told me. So, I mean, yeah, like that and Reverse Mountain, I think it's pretty obvious for me why they're at the bottom.
What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here. And guys, I feel like on YouTube, everyone has at some point or another done their ranking of their favorite One Piece arcs. And so I decided it's my turn. I'll essentially just be going from 30 all the way to 1 and explaining why my arcs are there. But I won't be doing this alone. Joining me in this grand endeavor is my channel artist and good friend, Brooke G.
What's up, y'all?
So for those of you who've seen us do the recent Top 30, which was posted sometime in January, it's essentially going to be the same thing. First, going to get out of the way our numbers 30 through 21, just because, you know, those are the bottom tiers. We don't care. And then starting from 20, we'll go in 5 position increments and just kind of explaining a bit of why we chose to place things in the way we did. All the way till we get to the top 5, which will be probably a slightly longer discussion.
And also, some of our choices might be a little controversial for some of y'all. And if it is, let us know in the comment section. I mean, if you have a list you prefer, just let us know.
And you can let me know why I'm right. But before we get into ranking the arcs, guys, please, y'all know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this. I want to do more collab stuff. I got more friends who like One Piece. I'll bring them on. And share it around with all your friends who love the series. Let's get it going. Alright, like I said, we're going to start at 30 and go through 21 and get the bottom 10 out of the way. So for me, what I have is Syrup Village as dead last, Long Ring Long Land at 29, Fishman Island at 28, Punk Hazard at 27, Reverse Mountain at 26, Whiskey Peak at 25, Orange Town at 24, Jaya at 23, Log Town at 22, and Little Garden at 21. Right off the bat, what I'll just say is that usually there are certain key arcs that I really love from old era One Piece, but I just have to give recency bias to the fact that a lot of the arcs that are above it is because they're more recent in my mind. I haven't read or watched or just consumed a lot of these bottom arcs in a while, but at the same time, I do have to say, I hated Syrup Village. I really did.
Really?
I really did, guys. I think it was mostly because
Was it Usopp?
Usopp was a very underwhelming character. I kind of liked his vibe, but he was a very underwhelming character to join. On top of that, the Black Hat Pirates were a very weak antagonist crew. Like, who the hell remembers Django? Like, nobody, because he's useless.
So was Django, bro.
Long Ring Long Land, same thing. Like, it's the most filler a canon arc can get, because like, besides the fact that it sets up the dating back fight itself, which is definitely going to be important, the characters, the Foxy Pirates.
Oh yeah. I hated Foxy personally. I like the arc, I just hated Foxy.
Another one though, just before I let you go, that I know people may wonder how it's so low, is probably Little Garden. Just because Little Garden was a lot of the change for Usopp's character, and it was the introduction to the giant culture, which set up Elbaf as like the very first destination that we wanted to go to since we found out what the Grand Line was, basically.
Yeah.
But I think that part of it, like, yes, part of when you're evaluating an arc is like its payoff in terms of like how it builds upon previous arcs and previous like storylines, but also what does the arc in itself do? And I think that besides like introducing us to Dory and Bragi, like, what else was there?
My 30 to 21 is Reverse Mountain at dead last, Whiskey Peak, Orange Town, Syrup Village, Punk Hazard, Amazon Lily, Long Ring Long Land, Alabasta, Zoe, and then the Reverie. I mean, I definitely like chose a lot of, or like a surprising amount of, I'd say like bigger name arcs in the bottom 10. But personally, just like compared to other ones, like for example, Amazon Lily, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of bored throughout that arc. Like it wasn't bad. I'm not gonna lie, like it was nice seeing what's it called, Luffy like on his own, like doing his own stuff.
Yeah.
But the arc itself was just kind of like, I don't know, I just felt pretty bored.
That's fair.
Alabasta, same reason. I'm not gonna lie, like starting One Piece, I started One Piece during quarantine. Watching One Piece, Alabasta tested my strength. Bro.
Yeah,
I was watching, like when they were going through that desert, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I might drop the show.
I don't know. That's the thing.
It's so boring.
I can't lie. When you said Alabasta, I think people saw that I was shocked. Just because like Alabasta is always always, when you talk to a One Piece fan, a top 10 arc. Like whether it's like higher top 5 or like lower like 8 or 9, like they usually have Alabasta up there. So I find it interesting that you said that. But I will also say that I think part of it is the fact that the anime, like if you're taking it from the anime has so much like filler and nonsense and bad pacing.
And like the humor definitely did what's it called? That's what kept me there.
That's true.
If One Piece didn't have that old school humor, like I probably would have dropped. I'm not gonna lie.
Fair.
Punk Hazard, I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, like again, payoff is still part of it. Like that kind of brings it up a little bit higher. But it was also a bit boring. Let's see, Whiskey Peak. I didn't even remember what Whiskey Peak was until you told me. So I mean, yeah, like that and Reverse Mountain. I think it's pretty obvious for me why they're at the bottom. And Rivery. I like how the Rivery like the arc itself continued to be important as the like story went on. But like if we're like isolating it to just the story that was told in the arc, it wasn't that much. But then if we like as an extra, if we were to add it, or like if we were to like add the importance of like post Rivery, I'd say it's definitely top 10, like in terms of importance.
Fair. You
were
like
top
all
50 for me.
the like when the revolutionaries attacked and then Sabo like
and like Sabo fighting all the what's called elders and
fighting. That's fair. If we counted that, I'd say that too. But we're counting that as part of an arc that's coming up later, so stick to the end of the video for that. So from 20 to 16, I have Drum Kingdom at 20, Reverie at 19, Return to Sabaody at 18, Romance Dawn at 17, and Amazon Lily at 16. Now for me, Drum Kingdom, I know a lot of people like it because of Chopper and the whole like messaging and hero look. And don't get me wrong, I do like that, which is why it's top 20. But I think it's bottom of top 20 just because for me, Drum Kingdom didn't really like, I don't know. I don't know if it was like the character, right? It wasn't the character writing, to be fair, because I think Hero Look was a really well written character. I think it's just, it didn't, at that time, what I wanted out of One Piece, which was big reveals, lots of action, lots of comedy. I feel like Drum Kingdom kind of fell flat in that. There definitely were some elements. And I think also the fact that it was Wapol as the main villain really detracted it a lot because it's Wapol. For Romance Dawn, what I'll say is like, I think it's a really good first arc just of a manga. I don't think that it has the best first arc or first few chapters or episodes of all manga like that I've consumed, just because there's a lot of really good first chapters to manga. Like just go read Attack on Titan or Bleach. Like to me, I ain't gonna lie. To me, Bleach's first few chapters were, to me, funnier at the time.
Okay, in terms of humor, maybe. That's also I watched the anime.
Okay, that's also why. But I still think that's really solid. You know, introducing like Luffy, Shanks, the Red Air Pirates, the Devil Fruits, like what a Devil Fruit actually does, and then just kicking off the story with the whole inherited will. You get that right from the beginning. I think it's really solid.
My ranks from 20 to 16 are Loketown at 20, and then G8, Jaya, Thriller Bark, and then Little Garden. Okay, the reason I have Loketown at where it's at is it's important to me, but also I take into consideration how long an arc is, because personally, like, it had build up for the arcs that followed it. Like, it was also cool that like we saw Dragon for the first time. We saw Luffy's biggest op first half of the show, Smoker, for the first time. I'm not gonna lie, bro. He was on Luffy's case a little too much, bro. I think.
I know. Yeah, I literally made a short the other day explaining how Smoker used to be top 2 in the series.
G8's it's the only arc on here that's filler, and I just personally have like my own nostalgic memories when I think about that arc. You remember when like Sanji was just like cooking for the military? Like that. Yeah. It was like nice moments like that.
And of course, the GOAT, Condoriano. Oh my, he was too funny.
I still don't remember who that is.
What I'll say is that I didn't include G8 because I stuck to manga canon, but if I were to include G8, because I agree that it is one of the very few, if not the only good One Piece filler, it would definitely be top 10.
Yeah, Jaya was nice. Like, it was, I mean, it was very obviously an intro for Skype, yeah. So I mean, like there's limits to how light can be. So like it was a good arc. Like Blackbeard's little part was pretty cool. Like when I first watched it, I remember I thought he was a throwaway character. Like I totally didn't expect him to like have any importance.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was nice they like set up important villain like that.
True.
And Thriller Bark, I'm not gonna lie, Thriller Bark might be one of the latest arcs I've actually like been bored as shit. While I was watching, bro, like while watching the whole thing, I don't know, like until Luffy went monster mode or whatever it was called, I just wasn't messing with the arc. But I did like the humor thing is like any arc in One Piece where I'm like always bored throughout it. I'm talking in terms of like slow pace.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cause like any old One Piece, I wasn't like actually bored because they had good humor. Like, yeah, like Thriller Bark had good humor, so it wasn't that bad.
That's fair.
And Little Garden, yeah, I mean, I just like this, like same thing you said. I like the setup for Elbaf, and yeah, it was just cool, like the way they did it, and like the ending with the goldfish.
Oh, the goldfish.
And,
yeah.
The fact that like the whole like Usopp line thing. Yeah, that was also really cool.
And how the goldfish is like now retrospectively, the way that they destroyed the goldfish is the way that they destroyed that bum kid's ship during the Egghead arc. That makes me so happy. But again, we will get there. I have Impel Down at 15, Arlong Park at 14, Baratier at 13, Thriller Bark at 12, and Skypiea at 11. So for me, explaining these a bit, Impel Down, I think, is the definition for me of a solid 6.5 or 7 One Piece arc. I really enjoyed it. Solidly enjoyed it. Parts that I didn't like, but overall, I can say that I liked it. I mean, we got to see Bon Clay again. We were introduced to Magellan, who is, to this day, one of the only antagonists to actually not be defeated because his poison is just overwhelmingly strong. Like, people need to realize that if Shiryu didn't just happen to have the antidote on him, One Piece, like, the end game of One Piece wouldn't matter because the entirety of Blackbeard's crew would be dead. Like, I don't think people understand that.
Like, some people forget.
Exactly, and we get the introduction of Jinbei too, but even then it is a kind of like bridge arc between, you know, Sabaody and Amazon Lily before getting to the massive Marineford. Arlong Park, I initially, before the video started, had Arlong Park lower, but I remembered that I watched episode of Nami, which is the abridged Arlong Park movie that is out, with updated graphics of course, and then also how I watched it in the live action, and it just made me remember certain parts about Arlong Park that I had forgotten on my first watch through, and it made me realize how strong, like, I feel like Arlong Park is one of the few arcs that I actually felt something emotionally, because Nami's breakdown and then Luffy's "of course I'll help you, let's go," and then the walk to Arlong Park, all of that was so dope to me. Like, I feel like, and of course people always say Arlong Park is the part of One Piece that if it hasn't captured you by then okay, cool, drop it. Because Arlong Park is what literally shows you a microcosm of what One Piece as a story is. So I think that Arlong Park is just really, really great. Baratier, I put above that because for two reasons. One, Sanji's my favorite character, so introducing my favorite character in an amazing way. While it's funny, but it also shows his goals, you know, wanting to find the All Blue, showing that he's a good person, he'll feed anyone, even if they don't have money, even if they're evil, whatever. And then on top of that, Mihawk versus Zoro. That was the most disrespectful thing I think I've ever seen in anime or manga, anything, period.
He said maybe this sort of small enough.
he said, "I don't hunt rabbits with cannons." Like, that's embarrassingly disrespectful. I don't know how Zoro could take it personally, but then of course showing as well that Zoro has that drive anyway, that regardless of how badly he lost, he's not going to give up, which to me cemented Zoro as one of my, I won't say favorites because people get on my ass for being a Sanji fan, but he's up there. I like him. Thriller Bark, as you were talking about Thriller Bark, I was just noting, I feel like the first half was kind of slow, but when the fights actually started, you know, you start seeing Brook and the way that he's able to fight. You start seeing, you know, the Straw Hats team up against Oars. I think that the Straw Hats team up is really underrated because we don't get to see all of them working together. It's usually like one-on-one battles or like tag team battles. And then after that, you add on top of that Kuma showing up, Nightmare Luffy, and Nothing Happened. Yeah, and I think that Thriller Bark has to be like fairly solid. Like I give it maybe 7.5. And then Skypiea, I know Skypiea a lot of people have Skypiea top 10. I have it just at 11 just because it's slightly edged out by other things, but I really did like Skypiea fairly. There were parts when it was dragging, but I think that Skypiea low-key has the best comedy in all of One Piece. It was so funny. But then also just realizing how Skypiea is literally what sets up the entire messaging of the story. Like, there's a false god that needs to be taken down that only a being of freedom can defeat. And everyone is praying and hoping that this being can defeat them. And it's hard, but he literally needs to be brought down so that the world itself can be free. That's literally Skypiea, and that's literally the One Piece world as a whole, especially now that we're getting into the final saga.
Romance Dawn at 15, and then Baratier, Drum Island, Saboti, and then Fishman Island. So the reason I have Romance Dawn at 15, firstly, it's just a lot of these are because of nostalgia.
That's fair.
Yeah, like there's a reason I got hooked into One Piece like from the start, and the earlier arcs are the reason. So Romance Dawn was just like one of those nice like more laid back arcs. I think this was what was the end of it? Was it after Luffy left Alvida's ship? Or was it?
It depends, because technically, like the canon, which is like if you look at the manga, it's just like it starts like Romance Dawn is everything from chapter 1, which is like the Luffy and Shanks flashback, all the way through to the end of Shell's Town. So it's like
where Buggy was introduced.
No, that's Zoro and Axe Hand Morgan. So it's like the flashback, Alvida and Kobe stuff, and then Zoro and Shell's Town, and then from there you get to Orange Town arc.
Okay, so yeah. Personally, I like the arc. It was pretty nice. I like the flashback. I mean, they set up the story like from the start. Can't really complain. Baratier, that Mihawk and Zoro fight, like that's like early One Piece. That's like one of the main things like got me like really hooked. Cause I'm like, damn. So this is the dude he's gotta like match up with, and like that's what he gotta beat by the end. So I was like, okay, I really like that. And also Sanji. Personally, I'm not either a Sanji or Zoro fan, but you know I like both of them. And yeah, this was a nice arc. Also, just like seeing his motivations and like the reason that he even wanted, or like I remember at first he didn't want to join Luffy's crew, right?
Yeah.
And then like that was like the early on, like us seeing Luffy's determination to get like crew members. That was also cool. Drum Island, I'm not gonna lie, one and only reason is because of Chopper. That's all I gotta say.
That's fair.
I even wrote it on here. I said Chopper.
Fair enough. That's a good reason.
And then Saboti, I have it at 12. That's because I really like the way they introduced Kizaru. The way he just popped in, it was like everybody was like at a stalemate, and like he popped up and then just knocked everyone down one by one. And then that's like we've never seen the crew get just dismantled like that.
True.
So that was like it was very what's it called? Like something I remember very vividly. And then Fishman at 11. It was main reason it's even this high is because it's the first arc after the time skip, and seeing how much everybody leveled up after they came back. Like, I guess the arc right before it is technically the first one, but this one is like the first actual like full-on arc where we're seeing their capabilities. Like Luffy taking down 50,000 people.
Yeah.
At the same time with Conqueror's Hawkins.
Very
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's fair, because when you said Fishman Island so high, I was like, I know a lot of people don't like Fishman Island, but if you do, to be fair, one of the things that I do like about Fishman Island is the whole like, just everyone showing what they can do like post time skip, and then also Otohime and Fisher Tiger's story, and then seeing Jinbei again. But I think for me, what weighs it down a lot is really Hody Jones as a villain.
Yeah, he sucks.
He's horrible.
They got a random drughead. Put him as a villain. Like the whole plot is just he can't stop using drugs.
Put a junkie as the villain. Oh no. Now entering the top 10 from 10 to 6, I have Zoe at 10, Dressrosa at 9, Alabasta at 8, Water 7 at 7, fittingly, and Whole Cake Island at 6. Now to explain these a bit, Zoe I really liked for two reasons. One is because it was such an amazing like lore dump and setup arc, because it was literally setting up everything for the Four Emperors saga, right? Because you have forming the alliance with, you know, the Ninja Mink Pirate Samurai Alliance or whatever. You have like learning about the road poneglyphs and the fact that Roger came to Zoe. It was just a really good setup arc, learning like more about the Beast crew slowly but surely, like through Jack and stuff like that. So you're really learning more about the world. But the second reason, and it's mostly carried by this reason, honestly, is just the Raizo is safe moment. Like when the Minks bowed down their head and told everyone that Raizo was safe. I think that that's one of the most iconic, impactful scenes in One Piece, because they literally were maimed, battered, bruised, poisoned, had limbs chopped off by swearing that this man wasn't on their island. And the whole time they were keeping him safe because they would rather risk their lives and damn near die than give up one of their friends. To me, that was just like, that's just Oda's messaging in general, like one of the main themes. Dressrosa at 9, I think that Dressrosa was a solid 8 on a good day, and that's on manga only, because anime Dressrosa, I ain't gonna lie, for me, anime Dressrosa is like a 5.5, just because the pacing is abysmal. I'm like, there are more episodes, there's like almost twice the amount of episodes that there are chapters, or like 50 more or something. It's something crazy where it doesn't make sense. You start to think, how could it possibly have gotten this bad? But with that being said, it still has to be a top 10 arc. The Doflamingo family, I think, is one of the best or like villain organizations in the story. Yeah, Senior Pink alone, his backstory and his character is one of the best things to happen to One Piece, period. Sabo coming back, which I can't lie, I was a bit confused about, just because I'm like, okay, well, is he just gonna be a clone of Ace? But given what Sabo's doing now, I do like Sabo, so I'll give him that. And then, of course, seeing Doflamingo's awakening and then seeing Luffy's Gear 4 and being introduced to Gear 4. I think that all in all, when it's said and done, it was long, it introduced a lot of people, but Dressrosa, it was really good. Alabasta, same thing. It's like I said earlier, it's most people's top 10. It just makes sense. It's a mega arc. You know, when people think the mega arcs where all the Straw Hats have their different fights and Luffy has to fight the main band multiple times, it's literally started with Alabasta. So I think that in that respect, it just has to be top 10. The comedy was great. It gave shine to Sanji in his Mr. Prince form. Everyone got their own fight. Zoro learned to cut steel, which he should have been able to do before, but we're not going to get into that. Luffy had to fight him 3 times before he won, and then the win was so impactful, and all of that being framed through Vivi's like mindset of I need to save my country. Water 7 isn't going to compare to what comes immediately after it, because it never can, but Water 7 I think is one of the best character writing arcs, because you have 3 Straw Hat plot lines like happening concurrently. You have the introduction of Frankie as first a villain before you go on to like see his actual like character as a good guy. You have Robin and her whole like secret backstory building up, and as to like why she has to leave the crew and all that. And you have Usopp's story of, you know, with the Mary, feeling like the Mary isn't good enough, and that's symbolizing himself not being good enough before his eventual fight with Luffy, which no one thought he was going to do that well, but he did really well. So I think that all in that, it was really, really solid from a character writing perspective, so I have to put it that high. And then Whole Cake Island at 6, a large part of it is just for really, that's the first time that we really understand what an Emperor of the Sea is, because we see Big Mom, how disgustingly powerful she is. It's just a force of nature. It doesn't make sense. And then even Katakuri, her like first command, was better than Luffy in literally every way. It was damn near impossible for him to win. And whether Luffy won or not, I don't like to get into that debate. But overall, I think, and then of course, you can't, as a Sanji fan, I can't forget that it's the best time. It's like Sanji's best character writing ever. His whole, you know, storyline, plotline, things that he goes through. So yeah, I have to love Whole Cake Island. I really do.
So, starting from 10, my 10 to 5, or 10 to 6, is Arlong Park, then Dressrosa, then Impel Down, Skypiea, and then Water 7. So, Arlong Park, personally, I just really liked, seeing that Nami was an actual character. Because I remember when we met her in Orangetown, or Orange County, whatever. No, Orangetown.
Yeah.
What's it called? She was just like there. I was like, oh, I don't know if she's even. I mean, I knew she was gonna be part of the crew, but I didn't think she was gonna be like an important character.
Yeah.
And then she left, and then we found out that she has like this whole backstory, and then like we need to spend this whole arc like saving her. I'm like, oh, this is like really interesting. And then like seeing just like how much like struggle she went through Arlong. It was definitely like, I feel like the best arcs in One Piece are the ones with the most depressing backstories. Like it always happens every single time.
True.
And then Dressrosa, I didn't read the manga, so I'm partially basing this off of the anime, and then also my understanding that the manga isn't as badly paced as the anime.
Fair.
So yeah, like I know the anime is terribly paced. Like I remember that one scene where Usopp was aiming the slingshot. I swear it lasted like 5 episodes, bro. But I did like it though. Like I like the tournament, like, you know, the stereotypical anime tournament where they just like show where Luffy's at. And also like Sabo like showing that he's not just like another dude with the flame fruit.
True.
Like he was actually like using it pretty well. And then Impel Down. To be honest, I don't remember too much from Impel Down, but Magellan was so tough, bro.
He was a really good antagonist.
Yeah, Magellan, and just like Luffy's whole journey of surviving, bro. Just trying to survive Magellan, bro. I mean that's how you know he's that strong. Like there was a whole section of the arc that was just like, oh, is Luffy gonna survive? Yeah. And then Ivankov was just like trying to save him this whole time. But yeah, there was a lot of like tension and a lot of just like, we didn't even know if Luffy was gonna make it out. Like, I mean, we did if you like seen further into the story.
Yeah,
but like
true.
we didn't really know. And then Skypiea, I really like Skypiea. Old humor plus just like all the new little gadgets they had in Skypiea were also pretty cool.
The dials.
Yeah, the dials. What else? The
Wave Rider. Like,
yeah,
Nami really liked that.
And also just
Nami
like
had a scooter. Like Nami had a scooter powered by clouds. Like I don't understand.
Yeah. And like all the iconic moments, like Sanji getting the light. Also, just like the way Luffy was treating what's his name? Eno.
The Eno face.
Yeah, bro. And like he was just treating him so unseriously, bro. It was like we have this dude who's literally a god. And then like even before he shows his face, we have like all this build up. It's like he's gonna be insane, and then we see his face. It's a little bit of a letdown, but it's like he's still strong. And then Luffy pulls up, and then he's nothing, bro.
It's not affected.
Like it was so funny.
It was hilarious.
Water 7 was just like, it was one of my personal favorites. Just cause like the Usopp thing, that was really nice. Like I personally in the moment I was like, why is he so sad about his ship? But I was like, okay, like that's what like made me build more of a relationship with the Mary. Cause I'm like, oh, like they actually the ship is actually like important to the crew. Like there's like more layers to it. That as well as just like figuring out those like connivings were betraying the town from CP9, and then like even that like building all the way up to Annie's lobby, like that was really nice.
So now we get to the top 5, in which I think the top 3 we may have like the same 3, but just like in different orders. But my top 5, at 5 I have to go Sabaody Archipelago the first time. At 4, Wano Country. 3, Marineford. 2, the current arc Egghead Island. And 1 has to be Enies Lobby. I don't know if people have picked up on this by now, but I really, really like arcs where you're introducing a lot of information. Maybe, I think it's just because me as in general, I really like lore and world building. That's just my thing, which is why I like, you know, writing stories and making my own worlds too and stuff like that. So Sabaody to me is the peak of world building in my eyes, just in terms of the amount of different stuff that we learn, right? Because we learn about at large, the celestial dragon system and like the world nobles, how they act, and it kind of expands the world. We learn more about the marine admirals because, like you said, that's when Kizaru pulled up and flexed on literally everybody. This is when we learned of Rayleigh, who was the pirate king's first mate, and he could literally have told them what the One Piece is and all the Void Century and all that right there if he wanted. So again, expands the world. You see the advent of the Pacifista, and Kuma was there. The fact that, and then of course, for me, love-hate, because I love some of them and hate some of them, but the introduction of the supernovas, because some of the supernovas are really good in my eyes, like Law, Bonnie. I do like Killer. Drake is alright. Some of them are abysmal, like Apu, Hawkins, and that
Rouge.
bum kid.
How about Rouge?
Rouge, I haven't seen anything from him, so
Yeah, like he doesn't do anything.
he just hasn't been there, which is why Rouge, come back in the story, please. At 4, I have Wano. I think that despite there are problems with Wano, there are problems with all One Piece arcs, nothing is perfect, but I think that overall, I really, really loved Wano, just in terms of the way that, first of all, the shift into a more Japanese, Japanese style. Oda was really in his bag because he's like, this is what I know, this is what I'm familiar with. So then you have, amazing plot lines for Zoro and Sanji, more so for Sanji, because it's coming off the back of Whole Cake Island and him getting the raid suit. So you have, trying to understand all the Germa stuff and whether he's a killer scientist or whatever before, learning Ifrit Jambe. Same thing with Zoro, trying to master the Enma before understanding that he has conquerors. That was amazing. I feel like the Beast Pirates is everything that I said the Doflamingo family was, but better. I really like the Flying Six, especially Ulti. Also, just Kaido himself was a menace. We never knew how we were going to beat Kaido. It didn't make any sense. And then there's just so many iconic things you can point to Wano. You have, Zoro versus Killer. You have all of the power-ups, each of the Straw Hats getting their own thing. Ifrit Jambe, like I said, King of Hell 3 sword style. Roof Piece, which is one of the best battles in One Piece, period. He had a house party and people jumped him on his roof. And he fought 17 people and stood standing the whole night until the very end when a literal god had to come and punch him out. And speaking of God, of course, I can't say that without saying Gear 5, because I think Gear 5's reveal just itself was probably one of, if not now, the most hype thing or iconic thing in the series. And also, last thing, it gave shine to my boy Marco. So that was a lot of reasons to like Wano, and that's still number 4. 3 has to go to Marineford just because, like I said, really love lore building stuff, and seeing all of the world's greatest fighters on one battlefield, just, duking it out, battling everybody. It was really great. Seeing Whitebeard himself, even in his old age, he was, destroying people left and right, one-shotting giants, fighting all 3 admirals at different times, with a sickness, mind you. So I think that overall, and then the whole story of Marineford, to save Ace. We don't talk about why Ace died, because I do believe Ace is stupid for that.
Oh, he's a dumbass.
But overall, the story of Marineford, I think, was really great. And I'm also including post-Marineford in Marineford, so the Great Terminal, the flashback and all that. Number 2 is Egghead, because currently, if Egghead ends well with what we're seeing, it'll just stay number 2. If it kind of flops at the end, then I'll maybe move it down to number 3. But I don't think Egghead is leaving the top 3 anytime soon. And that's because look at all the things that we got in Egghead that are just peak writing that we haven't seen. This is final saga writing, guys. I don't think you understand. Kid was annihilated by Shanks. That's the most important thing. But we have Kid and Shanks. We have Law and Blackbeard. We have, Garp and the raid on Hachinosu, and then Aokiji's there. Not to mention everything that's happening on Egghead itself. Luffy versus Kizaru, the Gorosei pulling up, the Gorosei being random demons, and then obviously the flashback to the Reverie from Sabo's point of view, and Vegapunk's introduction too. Everything that we've seen on Egghead so far, there is very little that I can say Egghead has been bad in. Maybe it slowed down during the whole whodunit mystery plotline thing. But overall, really, really liked Egghead. But number 1 has to say Enies Lobby. And I don't think I even have to explain, but it's just Enies Lobby is the peak of, writing, storytelling, fights, everyone's drive, everyone believing in Luffy, Usopp coming back. You know, you have Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, Diablo Jambe, Ashura 9 Sword style. Everyone gets their own fights, everyone gets their own roles to play. It just shows what a cohesive team the Straw Hats is, more than anything. And shows that Luffy will go out of his way and fight anyone to save even just one person that he considers a friend. So I think that overall, Enies Lobby is the peak of One Piece arcs because it shows you what One Piece is.
My top 5 are Marineford, then Whole Cake Island, then Enies Lobby, Egghead, and then Wano at number 1. Okay, so Marineford, you were just talking about it. Personally, I also love arcs where they just get every single character, like every important character we've met up until that point, and then just have them fight each other. Because we also found out like a lot of the like different crews like powers. Like we didn't know any of Whitebeard, like except for maybe Marco. Did we? Actually, no, we didn't.
We learned Marco's
yeah, like we learned the whole Whitebeard crew's powers and like all those like people we didn't even like see before then. Plus Shanks pulling up at the end,
True.
which was extremely tough because I was like, why is Shanks' right hand putting so much fear into an admiral, right? That's when I really started thinking. I'm like, yo, how strong are these people? Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Facts.
Also, the scene where Luffy like put up on the 3 admirals with the like big ass piece of wood. That was actually one of the main reasons I got into One Piece because I remember seeing a clip and I was just like, yo, that looks crazy. I need to watch that.
It does look tough.
And then Whole Cake. Personally, I love the whole like the pre-Whole Cake arcs where Luffy was just talking shit to Big Mom. Like he was just like, you ain't gonna do nothing. I'll pull up on you. I'll pull up on your country. You're not gonna do anything about it. And then she's like, oh really? And then he's like, yeah, you're not doing nothing. Like, bro, it was just so funny because I'm like, where does he get the audacity to talk to an emperor like
he
this?
doesn't care
At all. So I really liked that. I liked how Sanji shined throughout the arc. That was really nice. We got what's it called? His like whole backstory. It was depressing as hell, I can't lie. But we got his backstory, and like we like figured out some of like we got some blanks put in from like Bartier because we got some of it like back then. Enies Lobby. I also really like Enies Lobby. I like the fact that Luffy just jumped ahead like from the start and went straight towards like to fight the villains.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And like just like how much he cared about Robin, even though she literally was their enemy like almost an arc ago.
Facts.
Yeah, like that. It just really shows you like the type of person Luffy is. I feel like the earlier arcs like really cement like all of the crew's like character.
Facts.
Yeah, and that was like definitely one of the most important ones. Like the I want to live scene. Like there's a reason it's one of the most iconic ones.
Definitely.
And then Egghead, like to be honest, Wano and Egghead are somewhat interchangeable, but right now Egghead is at number 2, and just like the amount of information we've gotten, like we found out about the 5 elders. I don't know, we might find out a little bit about Imu too, like sometime soon.
Facts.
We're just getting like, also like how they kind of like they leave Egghead for a little bit and then come back, so we're getting like world building, like info on like what's going on.
That's real.
And like Kamabaka Island, or like what's happening with Big News Morgan. So that's also really nice. Like I like the arcs where, even though I obviously like the main crew story the most, but it's cool to get like little bits of information like, here and there. Yeah, and just like the fights, like it's obviously the best. Like in terms of fights, it's the best.
I think it definitely is. I can't lie.
Like especially the anime. Like obviously it's newer, so it's better animation. But like, bro, you remember the episode where they showed Luffy turn Gear 5 against Lucci, bro?
Bro. If you haven't watched that episode, you need to watch it.
Actually, bro, every Gear 5th transformation is better than the last.
Facts.
Even though we've only had 2, every single one is better than the last. And then number 1 is Wano. And that's because like Wano just has like significance to me. Because when I started One Piece, it was like, oh, I'm trying to make it to Wano, and then I got to Wano, I was like, damn, I made it to the milestone. Right. And like the arc was really good too.
Yeah,
and
true.
Like Luffy just getting his ass busted from the start, like against Kaido, and then like him just like constantly coming back, trying to fight him, trying to defeat him, even though he really wasn't doing much of anything at the start.
True.
And then like the little training arc he had, which was what, like a month or like 2 months?
It was like 2 weeks.
Or 2 weeks, yeah. He had a little training montage because he came back, he was like double the strength. It's crazy. I really like the power ups. I really like just the like new ways Luffy was using his like older transformations, and like how he was just interchanging between them until he got to Gear 5th. And I don't know, it was also cool to see like the crew's reaction as Luffy was fighting Kaido, because he was like right above them and they were like on the floor below, and it's like you'd see like the interactions a little bit too.
That's real.
Yeah, and also I liked seeing Momonosuke, him finally
yeah.
like get the courage to actually do something.
Yeah.
Because he was not doing it. He was just fighting. He
was scared as hell. He was just a scaredy cat before. But yeah, Momonosuke's growth, I think that's another good thing.
Yeah,
and then
like literally his growth.
Definitely.
He turned into a whole man, bro.
Literally, and he just started speaking facts, and everyone was like,
He's
"You're
like,
you're our new leader." Like clearly. So yeah, guys, there you have it. Those are the rankings of our favorite arcs. What do you agree with? Did you find anything that's surprising? Because I know for me, I know for a fact that Fishman Island being so high and Alabasta being so low for him was a surprise. So if you found anything interesting, let me know in the comments. Or even if you just want to drop what your arc rankings are, go ahead. I'll be more than willing to look. So that's the end of the video, y'all. Now please, guys, before we go, y'all know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this, and share it around with all your friends who love the series, who love One Piece, who just love anime and manga in general, or who just love black people and want to give black people a happy spotlight. Help me out. Help a brother out. Remember, I'm trying to build a community, but I need your help to do it. That's going to be all from us. We'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life.